Vatican News web portal, or our Vatican News English YouTube channel, or our Facebook Live feed. We also welcome all of you who are joining us through His Holiness Pope Francis, Excellencies, Ambassadors of friendly countries, ladies and gentlemen.
Yang saya hormati Wakil Presiden Republik Indonesia, Presiden terpilih Republik Indonesia, yang saya hormati para ketua lembaga-lembaga tinggi negara, para tokoh agama, hadirin dan undangan yang berbahagia. Negara kita Indonesia menyambut gembira dan hangat kedatangan yang teramat mulia Bapak Suci Paus Fransiskus, dan saya mendengar ini adalah penerbangan terpanjang yang Sri Paus lakukan. Terima kasih Bapak Suci.
Indonesia warmly and joyfully welcomes your visit. I understand that this is the longest journey you have ever undertaken. Thank you, Holy Father, for your willingness to accept our invitation to visit our country, Indonesia. Holy Father, this visit carries a very strong and important message as it celebrates diversity. Indonesia is a pluralistic country composed of various ethnicities, cultures, and religions, and strives to cultivate harmony amidst our diversity. For Indonesia, diversity is a gift, and tolerance is nourishment for unity and peace. We're having a little bit of trouble with the feed, but we will continue. As a nation, Indonesia is very fortunate to have the Pancasila, the 5 pillars, as the foundation of our country, allowing us to live in harmony with one another.
Semangat perdamaian dan toleransi inilah yang ingin Indonesia bersama Vatikan sebarkan, apalagi di tengah dunia yang semakin bergejolak. Seperti yang kita ketahui bersama, konflik dan perang terjadi di
This principle
belahan
of
dunia,
peace
termasuk di Palestina.
and tolerance that we wish to promote together with the Vatican is crucial, especially amid the various conflicts in our world.
Menghargai sikap Vatikan yang terus menyuarakan, menyerukan,
As we all know, there are conflicts and wars in various parts of the world,
solution.
including Palestine, where over 40,000 people have died.
Perang hanya akan membawa
Indonesia appreciates the stance and position of the Holy Father, who tirelessly calls for peace in Palestine and advocates for the two-state solution, because war brings no benefit to anyone. It only brings suffering and misery, particularly to the vulnerable. Therefore, we celebrate the diversity we have. We accept one another and strengthen tolerance to achieve peace and a better world for all humanity. Thank you. And President Joko Widodo shakes hands with Pope Francis, and
His Holiness Pope
Francis is invited to deliver his address to the authorities, civil society, and diplomatic corps of Indonesia. As the Holy Father puts on his glasses and prepares to deliver his address.
Signor Presidente, distinte autorità,
Speaking in Italian, the Holy Father says,
signori cardinali,
Mr. President,
signori vescovi,
distinguished authorities,
illustri rappresentanti
Your Eminences, Cardinals,
società religiose,
esteemed
dei gruppi religiosi,
representatives of civil society,
di diverse religioni,
and representatives of various religions,
illustri rappresentanti della società civile, membri del
and
corpo
members of
diplomatico.
the diplomatic corps.
Ringrazio cordialmente lei, signor Presidente, per il gradito
I cordially thank you, Mr. President,
visitare il
for the
Paese,
gracious
per le
invitation
sue gentili parole di
to
saluto,
visit your country
per
and for your
rivolgere al
kind words of
Presidente
welcome.
eletto il mio più sentito augurio
I extend to the President-elect my warmest good wishes for a fruitful period of service to Indonesia, a vast archipelago of thousands and thousands of islands surrounded by the sea that connects Asia to Oceania. We could almost say that just as the ocean is the natural element uniting all Indonesian islands, the mutual respect for the specific cultural, ethnic, linguistic, and religious characteristics of all the groups present in Indonesia is the indispensable and unifying fabric that makes Indonesian a united and proud people.
Bhinneka Tunggal uniti nella diversità,
Your national motto, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, united in diversity, literally many but one, captures well this multifaceted reality of diverse peoples firmly united in one nation.
e inoltre mostra che
It also shows that just as the great biodiversity present in this archipelago is a source of richness and splendor, your specific differences similarly contribute to forming a magnificent mosaic in which each tile is an irreplaceable element in creating a great, original, and precious work. And this is one of your greatest riches.
L'armonia nel rispetto delle diversità si raggiunge quando ogni visione particolare tiene conto della
A
necessità
harmony in diversity is achieved when particular perspectives take into account the needs common to all, and when each ethnic group and religious denomination acts in a spirit of fraternity,
di partecipare
pursuing the noble goal of serving the good of all. The awareness of participating in a shared history in which solidarity is essential and contributions are made by all helps to identify the right solutions, to avoid the exasperation of contrasts, and to transform opposition into effective cooperation. This wise and delicate balance between the multiplicity of cultures and different ideological visions and the ideals that cement unity must be continuously defended against imbalances.
Perché si tratta di un lavoro artigianale, ripeto, un lavoro artigianale.
It is a work of craftsmanship, I repeat, craftsmanship, entrusted to everyone, but in a special way to those in political life, who should strive toward unity, toward harmony, equity, respect for the fundamental rights of human beings, sustainable development, solidarity, and the pursuit of peace, both within society and with other peoples and nations. And this is the greatness of politics. A wise man said that politics is the greatest and highest form of charity.
Per favorire una pacifica e costruttiva armonia che assicuri la pace e unisca.
In order to foster a peaceful and fruitful harmony that ensures peace and unites efforts to remove the imbalances and suffering that still persist in some areas of the country, the Church desires to increase interreligious dialogue. In this way, prejudices can be eliminated, and a climate of mutual respect and trust can grow. This is indispensable for meeting common challenges, including that of countering extremism and intolerance, which, through the distortion of religion, attempt to impose their views by using deception and violence. There is closeness and listening to one another, and this creates fraternity in a nation. And this is a very beautiful thing.
La Chiesa Cattolica si pone al servizio del bene comune e desidera rafforzare la collaborazione.
The Catholic Church is at the service of the common good and wishes to strengthen cooperation with public institutions and other actors in civil society, but never carrying out proselytism, never proselytizing, but always in respect for others. Therefore, I encourage the formation of a more balanced social fabric and ensure a more efficient and equitable distribution of social assistance. In this regard, I would like to refer to the preamble of your 1945 Constitution, which offers valuable insights into the path chosen by a democratic and independent Indonesia. This is a beautiful, your history is a beautiful one when you read it, that it was a choice of the people together for democracy.
E alla necessità che la sua benedizione scenda sul nascente Stato dell'Indonesia.
Twice, within a few lines, the preamble refers to Almighty God and the need for His blessing to descend upon the nascent state of Indonesia. Similarly, the opening lines of your fundamental constitutional law refer to social justice twice, as the desired foundation for international order and as one of the main objectives to be achieved for the benefit of the entire Indonesian people. Unity in multiplicity, social justice, and divine blessing are thus the fundamental principles intended to inspire and guide the social order. They can be likened to a support structure, the solid base on which to build the house. How can we fail to notice that these principles fit very well with the motto of my visit to Indonesia? Faith, fraternity, compassion. Unfortunately, however, we see in today's world certain tendencies that hinder the development of universal fraternity. In various regions, we see the emergence of violent conflicts, which are often the result of a lack of mutual respect, of the intolerant desire to let one's own interests, one's own position, or one's own partial historical narrative prevail at all costs, even when this leads to endless suffering for entire communities and results in wars and much bloodshed. Sometimes violent tensions arise within countries because those in power want to make everything uniform, imposing their vision even in matters that should be left to the autonomy of individuals or associated groups. Furthermore, despite impressive declarations of policy, there is also a lack of true and forward-looking commitment to implement the principles of social justice. As a result, a considerable part of humanity is left on the margins, without the means for a dignified existence, and no defense against the serious and growing social imbalances that trigger acute conflicts. And how is this resolved? With a death law, that limit the numbers of births. But your nation has a high birth rate, and please continue in this. You offer an example in this to other countries, and perhaps this could make one laugh, but there are some families who prefer to have a cat or a dog, but we see that this is not, this doesn't work. In other contexts, people believe they can or should disregard the need to seek God's blessing, judging it to be superfluous for human beings and civil society. They promote instead their own efforts, but this often leads them to encounter frustration and failure. Yet, there are times when faith in God is continually placed at the forefront, but is sadly manipulated to foment divisions and increase hatred instead of furthering peace, communion, dialogue, respect, cooperation, and fraternity.
Fratelli e sorelle, di fronte a questi ombre,
brothers and sisters, in the face of these challenges, it is encouraging that the philosophy guiding the organization of the Indonesian state is both balanced and wise. In this regard, I make my own the words of St. John Paul II during his 1989 visit to this very palace. Among other things, he said, "In acknowledging the presence of legitimate diversity, in respecting the human and political rights of all citizens, and in encouraging the growth of national unity based on tolerance and respect for others, you lay the foundations for that just and peaceful society which all Indonesians wish for themselves and long to bequeath to their children. If at times in the past the principles mentioned above have not always been implemented, they remain valid and reliable, like a beacon that illustrates the path to be taken and that warns of the most dangerous mistakes to be avoided. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that everyone in their daily lives will be able to draw inspiration from these principles and implement them when carrying out their respective duties, since opus justitiae pax, peace is the work of justice. Harmony is achieved when we are committed not only to our own interests and vision, but to the good of all, to building bridges, fostering agreements and synergies, joining forces in order to defeat all forms of moral, economic, and social distress, and promoting peace and concord. Dear brothers and sisters, please continue on your path, which is so beautiful and just, and which will carry a blessing to all the people. May God bless Indonesia with peace for a future full of hope. May God bless you all.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, remarks of His Holiness Pope Francis concludes this meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Indonesia and His Holiness Pope Francis and the Vice President of the Republic of Indonesia, Professor Kiai Haji Ma'ruf Amin, depart the State Palace.
Hadirin dimohon berdiri. Ladies and gentlemen.
And with that, we hear the MCs thanking everyone, thanking the Holy Father, announcing that he will be concluding this encounter with authorities, civil society, and diplomatic corps of Indonesia. We see Pope Francis pausing for a moment to speak to President Joko Widodo. The Holy Father arrived in Indonesia yesterday in the morning and took all of Tuesday to rest from his 13-hour flight from Rome. Just ahead of this meeting, the Holy Father was welcomed to the presidential palace and signed the Book of Honor. In it he wrote, "Immersed in the beauty of this land, a place of encounter and dialogue between different cultures and religions, I wish the Indonesian people growth in faith, fraternity, and compassion. God bless Indonesia." Those were the Holy Father's words in the Book of Honor at the presidential palace. And as the Holy Father concludes this meeting, we end this live broadcast of his meeting with authorities, civil society, and diplomatic corps in Jakarta on his apostolic journey to Indonesia. Please join us in just over 5 hours for the Pope's meeting with Indonesia's bishops, clergy, and religious at the Cathedral of the Assumption. You'll find us back here on the same channel. Please visit the Vatican News web portal, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube accounts for coverage of today's event and other Vatican and world news. On behalf of Vatican Media, I would like to thank our in-studio audio technician, Gabriele Di Domenico, and Massimiliano Menichetti, our audio coordinator, and all of our media partners, and especially our friends at the Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative, who have made this broadcast possible in American Sign Language, and to all of you for joining us. Laudetur Jesus Christus, praise be Jesus Christ.
Recemos por el clamor de la tierra. Si tomamos la temperatura del planeta, nos dirá que la tierra tiene fiebre. Y se encuentra mal, como cualquier enfermo. Pero nosotros escuchamos este dolor, escuchamos el dolor de los millones de víctimas de las catástrofes ambientales. Los que más sufren las consecuencias de estos desastres son los pobres, los que se ven forzados a dejar su casa por inundaciones, olas de calor o sequías. Hacer frente a las crisis ambientales causadas por el hombre, como el cambio climático, la contaminación o la pérdida de la biodiversidad, pide respuestas no solo ecológicas, sino también sociales, económicas y políticas. Tenemos que comprometernos en la lucha contra la pobreza y la protección de la naturaleza, cambiando nuestros hábitos personales y los de nuestra comunidad. Oremos para que cada uno de nosotros escuche con el corazón el clamor de la tierra, el clamor de las víctimas de las catástrofes ambientales y del cambio climático, comprometiéndonos personalmente a cuidar el mundo que habitamos.
Mwezi wa mama Maria, karibuni tutafakari matendo ya Rozari.
Mimi ni Askofu Joseph Mwongela, askofu wa jimbo la Kitui na mwenyekiti wa kitengo cha Baraza la Maaskofu cha Pastoral and Lay Apostolate. Nawaalika nyote kwa siku yetu ya maombi ya kitaifa, National Prayer Day, kule Subukia, tarehe 5 mwezi wa 10 mwaka huu. ambapo pia tunasherehekea miaka 50 ya jumuiya ndogondogo katika huku Afrika ya Mashariki, ile tunaita AMESEA region. Tutakuwa tumejumuika ili tuweze kusherehekea kwa pamoja. Na waalika nyote tuweze kuja na kuomba kwa pamoja, tukiangalia nyuma vile tumeendelea kama kanisa na jumuiya ndogondogo. Tuweze kuomba kwa sababu ya nchi yetu, kwa ulimwengu mzima, ili tuweze kuendelea kwa amani. Kiini cha mwaka huu ni kutembea pamoja kwa uadilifu kama familia ya wana wa Mungu. Tuweze kutembea kwa pamoja, tuweze kushirikiana na kuombeana na kujadiliana, tukitembea kwa uadilifu kama wana wa Mungu. Tuombee amani, tuombee nchi yetu, watu wote tuje kwa pamoja, tuombe kwa pamoja na tuzidi kuiombea nchi yetu ili tuwe na amani, tuwe na utulivu, tuwe na haki kama vile Mungu ambavyo ametuita. Na wakaribisha nyote tujiweke mikononi mwake Mama Maria, ambaye hakuna yeyote alimuomba na akaachwa bila kujibiwa. Tunawakaribisha sisi wote tuweze kuja kwa pamoja, na pia tukiwa chini ya ulinzi wake Mama Maria, ambaye alikuwepo katika ndoa ya Kena na akaona kile kilichopungua, ili angalia katika familia zetu, katika nchi zetu na popote pale tulipo, na kile kilicho na upungufu atuombee kwa mwanawe Yesu Kristu, ili tuweze kuishi maisha ambayo ni yale Mungu alituumbia, kwa kuishi kwa umoja, tukitembea pamoja kama wana wa Mungu ambao ametuumba ili tuishi hapa duniani, tumpende, tumtumikie, tupendane na mwishowe tuweze kuishi naye milele. Na kwa hayo yote katika hii siku yetu ya maombi, sasa ni zamu ya Metropolitan ya Mombasa, ambapo ni jimbo kuu la Mombasa, Malindi na Garissa ambao wanatuongoza, lakini sisi wote tumekaribishwa ili tuweze kujumuika kwa pamoja, tusherekee hii siku kubwa katika maisha yetu. Mungu awabariki.
Ni mwezi wa mama yetu Bikira Maria, ni mwezi ulio na neema ya pekee, ni mwezi wa mama Maria. Karibuni tutafakari matendo ya Rozari.
Tazameni Yesu Kristo mwana
This is who we are.